And joining me now, we have former federal prosecutor for the Southern and Eastern Districts of New York, Berit Berger. Berit, welcome to the show here again. What do you make of what you heard there? And what are the challenges for both sides of this case?
Well, I think the most promising part of him being back in the country is that Abrego Garcia will now have due process like any other criminal defendant that gets arrested and charged in the United States. So we'll actually get a chance for the prosecution to be held to their burden. I mean, it is a very sweeping indictment. It's very detailed. If you look at the four corners of the indictment, it looks like the government has a pretty strong case. But of course, just saying it in the indictment isn't enough. They have to actually go into court and prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. So we'll really get to see if the government can meet this burden. Now, interestingly, based on what the defense attorney was saying there, the fact that he was imprisoned for as long as he was in what I can only imagine are as awful of conditions as we can imagine would be down there, this won't necessarily be relevant in proving these charges or disproving these charges. Where it could come into relevancy is in two ways. One, if he is convicted and it's a chance for him to get sentenced, the defense could bring this in as sort of a mitigating factor as to why he should receive a more lenient sentence. Harshness of confinements, thing that he already went through, certainly are things that a judge could consider when they're sentencing him. But it also could be relevant, exactly as the attorney was saying, as we're looking towards and other judges are deciding deportation matters to the same facility, they can now use this information when they are, making their own decisions on different undocumented individuals and how their cases should be treated.
So maybe it'll set a level of precedence, perhaps. Let's talk about what happened on Friday with the Supreme Court granting DOJ access to Social Security Administration data that it claims is necessary to root out waste and fraud and then modernize the agency's operations. The court also ruled, for now, DOJ does not have to turn over internal records to any government watchdog group as part of a public records lawsuit. What do you make of these rulings?
I mean, so one thing to remember, it's still in the temporary stages. We're still going to have further litigation about the merits of this. But what's interesting is they've essentially said, while we're litigating this case, while we're weighing whether this ultimately is the right decision or not, they can have access to these records. And what you saw the dissent pointing out was, this is kind of like, letting all the toothpaste out of the tube. You can never get it back in. Once you have this other agency, once you have DOJ workers getting access to this information, it's impossible to then unwind leaks or unwind problems that happen. And the other thing that stands out for me is we've seen, with the breakdown of the relationship between the president and Elon Musk, who really is in charge of DOJ right now, and what is the level of accountability for people working within that agency? How much vetting has there been done? So even though we have the Supreme Court decisions saying they can have this access, what we don't have now is any more clarity about the type of vetting and the type of security that's going to be in place when they're accessing these really highly confidential records.
Trump announced a travel ban restricting entry on foreign nationals from 19 countries. Back in 2018, the Supreme Court, in a 5-4 decision, upheld the travel ban that Trump enacted in his first term. The court ruled limits on who enters the country falls within a president's powers. How similar is the administration's legal justification for this new ban?
I mean, they're really going to rest on that decision and say this is simply a continuation. There might be new arguments that come, but I think ultimately because of the strength of that opinion, because that opinion was pretty clear, they're probably going to be on solid ground, and they're probably going to be safe in this newest version of the travel ban. So while I imagine there will be numerous additional legal challenges that will be brought, that decision, I think, will be a pretty solid precedent that's going to be hard for anyone to overcome.
Berit Berger, thank you so much for that.